listening to a Leisure Moment podcast with your host, Deetra Helvey, who's always ready to have a casual conversation about her love for literature.
Emma Chase is one busy author. When one book is finished, another is on the horizon waiting to hit the press. This casual conversation is all about her Legal Brief series, the research behind it, and the action of getting it down on paper. Enjoy! Hello, Emma.
Hello.
How are you? This is Deetra with the Leisure Moment.
Hi, Deetra. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing great on this Sunday afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. We are excited to have you.
Yes, I'm actually thrilled to chat with you. I was just telling Kristen, I've been locked in my office all day doing edits.
Yes.
And I'm going to be there all night. So I said, I'm looking forward to chatting with him. I'm so lonely.
Oh, so this will be like a nice little break for you.
Yes, absolutely. I'm thrilled to be chatting with you.
Well, I think that you have a love for caffeine, I think, coffee. So do you have some coffee nearby?
I've actually been trying to cut down on the caffeine.
Oh, no.
I went well, no, I'm back. I'm off the wagon. I went 2 solid weeks where I weaned myself off, and I had no caffeine, and it was wonderful. And then, what was due? I think the Sustain manuscript was due. So
Okay.
that kind of blew the caffeine dam out of the water. But I'm having some Coke. I'm having some soda.
So you're having some soda during our chat. I usually love to have a nice cup of coffee as well. And so I noticed that connection there, that I just can't start my day or really end my day without having a cup. So
yeah, no, I always have the 4 o'clock fix. Definitely. I'm a little shot of caffeine, just kind of make it through the rest of the day.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you'll find this break in your editing time to be a nice one. We are here to discuss and kind of chit-chat about Overruled, the first book in the series, the Legal Brief series. And for those who are listening, just tell us a little bit about the inspiration for the Legal Brief series that you're currently working on.
Sure. Well, I think it was last year I attended a signing in Washington, D.C., and it was my first time in D.C., and it's a beautiful city. And the weekend that we went, it was really nice outside. There was some great weather.
Uh-huh.
So there were a lot of people. We were walking around some monuments, and there were a lot of people jogging and rollerblading, and they were all really attractive people.
Yes.
So I said to my husband, I said, wow, D.C. is such a young, vibrant kind of city. And, he said, well, they're all probably lawyers because D.C. has the most lawyers per capita. And I actually looked it up. It's very interesting. In D.C., there's about 250 lawyers per 10,000 people. And the second place is New York, which has 20 lawyers per 10,000 people.
Okay.
So there's a lot of lawyers in D.C.
And see, I was probably going to think more so politicians.
Right. Well, I think a lot of politicians, a lot of lobbyists start off getting that law degree. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if they're all practicing.
Right.
But that really just kind of sparked the idea. And I kind of played around with a few different scenarios, maybe doing something like a Grey's Anatomy kind of story, but with lawyers, like interns. Mm-hmm. And eventually, the first thing actually that I thought of before any kind of plot was the hero's name in the first book, Stanton Shaw. Mm-hmm. And I forget exactly how the name came to me, but I loved it. I thought it sounded so southern and kind of so sexy. So that's how the idea for the series began, and eventually it morphed into a series about 3 defense attorneys. And each of them gets their own book. And what also played into Overruled was the Bells on Wheels bus tour that we did last year.
And
we
I heard
had
of
a
that.
stop. Yes, it was fantastic. We kind of drove all over the South,
Mm-hmm.
and we had this great big tour bus, and there was 10 of us, and it was a good time. So one of our stops was in Greenwood, Mississippi,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a really quaint, lovely little town. And the bookstore that we went to was just beautiful, and it was right on Main Street, and it had the awnings and really pretty. So that's kind of where the idea came from, that Stanton would be a Southern man, and that his hometown would be this small hometown in Mississippi.
Interesting. So tell me, what was one of the challenges that you may have had with this first book in the series?
Yeah. Oh, I have to tell you, yeah. There were a lot of challenges. Overruled probably, well, definitely it was the longest book that I've ever, not longest page-wise, but it took me the longest to write out of any other book that I've ever written. And a big part of that was coming off the Tangled series.
Mm-hmm.
I was very aware of Drew's voice, because he's such a strong character, and he's a very big shadow to kind of live under. So I was very aware while I was writing from Stanton's point of view that I didn't want him to sound too much like Drew, but I wanted him to be funny and entertaining and kind of wanted those similar characteristics that readers seem to love so much.
But yet still his own certain voice.
Exactly, yeah. And I think the Southern aspect helps a lot in that regard too, because Drew's a New York boy, so there's just it's a different kind of speech pattern, and it's a little bit of a different attitude, which helped distinguish them. Also, Overruled, I think, definitely had more emotional depth than the Tangled series did. There's some emotions that I had to kind of reach in the story. The fact that Stan has a daughter, and that his relationship with his daughter's mother is involved in the story. So I really wanted to make sure that I, hit those notes just right.
Right. Wow. So
yeah, but still have a fun, light, sexy story.
Right. Now, tell me a little bit about the research process. Did you have to do some research in regards to this kind of focus and twist and theme with the Legal Brief series?
Yes, that was the other thing that took a while too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure if it just all came to mind or if you had to do a little background check.
No, there was a ton of background. Well, what's interesting, and I didn't realize this till after I was kind of into it, Washington, D.C., their court system and their legal system is actually different from any other state in the Union, because they are not technically a state.
Okay.
So, their federal courts versus their district courts run a little bit differently than you would have, say, in New Jersey, for example. So I found out a lot about that. What was great was my assistant has a friend whose boyfriend is actually an attorney in D.C.
Oh, well, that was perfect.
Yes, and he was so kind. So I'm still exchanging emails with him as we go through the series, just because there's some things that can't really be found online, some details, some subtleties that I really want to make sure that I get accurate.
Right. And you really wanted a true... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say the other research part that came into it was my agent actually, one of her other authors that she works with is an author, Kim Jones, who's from Mississippi, lives in Mississippi. So I did a lot of talking with Kim too, just because I wanted to make sure that I got the Southern culture right as well. I didn't want to veer into too stereotypical area, but I really wanted the story to have that nice small town Southern feel to it. And, being a girl from Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had an idea of how things are, but I just, again, I wanted to make sure that I got it right. So Kim was wonderful in helping me out with that.
Well, that is awesome, especially having the opportunity to talk with someone personally about it can be so much better than the online research piece as well, when you have that true, authentic experience that someone can bounce, what's happening as you incorporate those pieces in your writing. You mentioned the Bells on Wheel touring session. And I know you're married, you have children. Based on your bio,
Oh, yes.
how do you
Yeah, no.
how do you juggle all of those pieces? My husband and I are going to BEA for the first time, and I'm so excited to be able to have him. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, how are we going to get everything together, have the kids where they need to be for that whole week? That's just one little week, but for an author, it could be several weeks out of a year.
Yes. Yeah.
How do you handle that?
Well, what was great about the Bells on Wheels tour was I had the chance. It was really my first opportunity to really have some in-depth conversations with other authors. And authors, Cressley Cole was on the tour, authors who've been doing this a long time. So, because up until that point, I thought it was just me that had a hard time kind of juggling everything.
Yes.
So it was wonderful to hear
that it wasn't just
everybody across
you.
the board.
Right.
That I'm not the only one that lives like in perpetual chaos. So,
well, that's good.
But any kind of long trips that I do, we actually just came back from London and Paris last week, and it was beautiful.
I'm sure.
And and my kids they're 11 and 13, so they're really good ages to travel.
Oh, they went with you.
They did.
Oh,
yes.
That was awesome.
Yeah, whenever I can, when it's a long trip like that, because it was like 9 days we were over there. And when it's a long trip, or when it's a really when it's a different place that they haven't been to before, I definitely always try and bring them with me. My husband works still full time, so as long as he can get off of work. But the other times, for example, I'll be in Dallas in RT next month, and I'll be there all week. And that one, the hubby's kind of on his own, holding down the fort here with the kids.
Right.
So, yeah. So it is. It's pretty much a juggling act that changes, day to day, month to month. And whenever I have a trip to go away, I was in Scotland last year, and literally I arrived in Scotland on Friday, and I flew back out on Sunday.
Only a weekend.
Yeah, literally, like not even the full weekend. Like Sunday morning, I was out of there.
So really, you need to be able to go back so you can really enjoy and do some research and things of that nature.
Exactly. Yeah. So like I said, I mean, my husband's great in that he's totally supportive, and we kind of figure things out together. And a lot of planning is involved. Like I said, when they came with us, it was a working trip. We had a few signings in Paris, and we had the British Book Fair. So, I had planned activities and tours for them while I was working.
Right.
And, so it requires some forethought. But the kids are great, too. Like I said, they're not babies, so that's really helpful in that they are kind of self-sufficient. So, on the day-to-day times, like if I have to be in my office for 5 hours, they're usually pretty good, as long as they just check in. I make sure they're, still in the house.
Right. Well.
And it all goes.
Sounds like y'all work together as an awesome team.
Yeah. Well, and we've been married since 2000. So I feel like we really kind of have it down now. The way that Tangled took off was definitely, amazing and unexpected. But I think we've really, like I said, adjusted, and everyone's really happy and excited, and we all just kind of work together and make it work.
How was the process for you when you created your first book? Was it a quick yes, or did it take some time for you to find the right publisher?
Yeah, it was really interesting. Tangled was finished, I don't know, I guess maybe 2 months, 2 to 3 months it took me to find a publisher. Not that long, relatively speaking, compared to some other authors' experiences. I had it finished, and I started sending it out to, some small publishers, some ebook-only publishers. And, I had a few rejection letters. The style of Tangled at the time was very different compared to a lot of what was out there.
Right.
The asides to the reader breaking the fourth wall.
Mm-hmm.
So, everyone seemed to really love the voice. But, there was always something that it just wasn't going to work for that publisher. So at one point, I kind of said, well, maybe it's just not that good. I said to my husband, I thought it was funny, but maybe it's just not going to work. And he said, well, no, send out another round.
Oh.
Don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And literally from that next batch that I had sent out, I got 3 publishing offers.
Wow.
Yeah. And 2 were for ebook only, and 1 was for print and ebook.
Okay.
So I ended up going with that publisher because I really wanted to, that the ultimate goal for me at the time was just to hold my own book in my hands.
Mm-hmm. To hold it in your hands and see it on the shelf and just to feel it.
Absolutely. So everything that happened after that, as far as, just the success and the way readers have responded to it has just been, really a dream come true and just a fantastic experience all around.
Now, have you always
known? A few weeks.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say a few weeks after then Tangled came out, and then Simon & Schuster Gallery Books picked it up. And then we went forward with the rest of the series with Gallery.
Yes. And I must say that Kristen is a wonderful publicist. I have to just go ahead and put that out there for Kristen. She's awesome.
Oh my gosh, she's the best.
She's great.
I love her to pieces.
She is great. And I'll also have to put this plug in too for Priceless Design Studio when listeners go out and look at your books and your website. I've done some sessions with Priceless Design Studio. She's awesome too, with just kind of helping me navigate things, because this is just a little over a year for us with our blog.
Mm-hmm.
So we love
phenomenal.
Yes,
yeah,
love your website. She's great as well.
Thank you. I loved working with Katie because I am really so technologically illiterate.
Same here.
Yes.
Same here.
It was so wonderful. And we had a few glitches kind of going forward, transferring from the old site to the new site.
Mm-hmm.
But she, never gave up and never complained and figured it all out. And it was just a fantastic experience. So if anyone's looking for a website, I agree. I highly recommend.
And for that teacher-student experience, that's what she did, for me. She would just kind of walk me through certain pieces. Yeah, just a great experience all the way around on that.
Definitely.
Now, I wanted to ask you, have you always known that you wanted to be a writer? Did you have another career before writing, or is this the career for you and has always been that choice?
It's so funny how things worked out because I'd always wanted to be a writer. When I was in grammar school, when I was in high school and college, I always wrote for the school newspaper and the creative magazine that was published in those days for students. So it was just always something that I was passionate about. And I actually started off majoring in English when I first went to college because I wanted to be a writer. But then, as often happens, you take other classes and you find other passions. So I ended up becoming a special education teacher for a few years. But I was always still kind of writing on my own, for my own personal enjoyment, my own hobby. And then when the kids were born, I ended up staying home, and I was a stay-at-home mom for a good couple of years. And then when they got a little older, I started taking a creative writing course at a local community college at night, again, just for kind of my own enjoyment. So it's kind of a mix. I never thought that being an author was attainable, I guess. Mm-hmm. So it's just been, a fantastic experience, obviously. But writing was something that I've always done, even just for myself, and would continue to do. Even if I couldn't publish anymore, it's just something that I love to do.
Well, just listening to some of your background, of course, I always say I'm a blogger at night and on the weekends, but my full-time job during the day is working in the realm of special ed. So we have that another connection, coffee and special ed.
Yes. Yes, I actually, and I loved my job. I said that even at the time. Like, one of those, that saying that, oh, if you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life.
Mm-hmm.
That was me. It was really, really fantastic. And then once the kids were born, they became really my full-time job.
Right.
And I was definitely in mommy mode. So, like I said, it's just funny how things work out
That's right.
and evolve.
And sometimes we get to that point in our life where we do make career changes, and for you, it's from that realm of educator to mommy to writer, and every aspect of it is different for everyone. So, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Would you like to leave us with any other final thoughts about your upcoming book? And I'm correct on it's coming out April the 28th, Overruled?
Yes, this Tuesday, correct.
And you're already working on the second one?
Yeah, the second one's done.
Oh,
manuscript is done. We're doing final edits on that now.
Okay.
And you know what? I'm so excited for this new series because I don't usually like to compare my books to my children. I know that that's, a common thing.
Yeah.
But it's funny because there are times like when you're writing and you love your characters so much and you love kind of living in their head and playing in their world. And, the idea of creating other characters, you never think that you could love those new characters as much as you love the old ones. Mm-hmm. But what's, kind of miraculous is then when you dive into that new book, you do, and right. You find that they're, just as exciting and fun and fascinating. So I'm so excited for readers to, have a shot at reading Overruled when it comes out on Tuesday. The feedback so far from the early copies from reviewers has just been wonderful. And it's so exciting for me because I'm a reader too. I love a good book. Mm-hmm. So it's wonderful to kind of have that connection, and have readers fall in love with your story and your characters. So I'm thrilled for everyone to meet Stanton and Sophia and Jenny and everyone in Sunshine. And I'm also really excited for the second book. The second book comes out in August, and it's Sustained. And we meet that main character, Jake Becker. We meet him in Overruled. And he is just a fabulous, fabulous character. He's sharp, and he's funny, and he's sarcastic. And he's very honorable, even though he doesn't really realize that while he's being honorable. So it's just so much fun. And as I said, I think with this new series, I was able to kind of take my writing to a deeper level and more emotional level, even though overall it's still meant to just be a light, funny story. I mean, the first books that I fell in love with were historical romances. And I think that's what I loved about historical romances is they were very safe. Like you could feel all these different emotions, sometimes angst and frustration and sadness, but you always kind of knew the overall story would be light and everything would turn out okay in the end.
Right.
And I think my books are like that too, in that, you definitely have these highs and lows emotionally, but overall it's really just meant to leave readers happy. And that's what I'm excited for, is to kind of just leave them on a little bit of a book high.
And believe me, we readers love a book high. Just real quick, when I was listening to you talk about the series and how, yes, as readers, we get frustrated. We get sad when a series ends. And in our mind, we think, oh, there can't be anything else that will be even better. Well, that's at that moment in time when you finish that last page of the last book, in that series. And we have to be patient and wait for what's coming up next. I was quickly reminded, I think recently through a Instagram post when I mentioned, oh, this book is coming to an end. The series is coming to an end. And she said it's not so much that it's an end, but it is a start for a new beginning of something else. And that was, an eye opener for me. So your fans, finish with the Tangled series and have the Legal Brief series to look forward to, and the fact that you're going to have book 2 coming out in August, and they're not going to have to wait a whole year for that next book. That's exciting.
Yes, yeah, and I'm voracious when I read. So as soon as I can get those books out, and I know I'm pretty certain that most authors are like that. Mm-hmm. Luckily for me, once I'm kind of in the groove, I tend to write pretty quick. I always said I was a binge writer because sometimes I would go, like 3 weeks without writing anything, mm-hmm. and then boom, it all just kind of pours out of me.
Right.
And that's all I do. So, yeah, so I agree, and I'm right there with you. I've read series, and I know exactly what you're saying, where I've then met the authors, and I just want to beg them, like, please, just, write an extra scene.
Please, something.
I'll
buy it. I just got to have it.
Yes. Well, and I think that's why, too, Drew Evans from the Tangled series, he does pop up in Overruled. And I think that was a big part of it, just my own love for him as a character. And it actually worked really well, too, because Stanton, he starts off as this real kind of good old boy, kind of innocent, I guess. And I knew where he needed to be once he was an adult, because we see him first in high school and his first year of college, and then we jump 10 years. So I needed him more to be a little bit of a player when he was an adult.
Right.
And, Drew, of course, is just a fabulous mentor in that respect. And it works super well for the story. But also, I was so excited to be able to give that little peek to readers, to kind of check in to see, what Drew was like in college, and then kind of see where he is in the months following his and Kate's wedding, which is when Overruled takes place.
They'll love you for it. They'll be excited.
Yeah, I knew. I figured they would be. It was funny, too, because I knew it was a good plan. After my agent had read the manuscript, she called me, and she was like, oh, my God, as soon as I saw his name, I started fangirling.
Yes, they will love you for it.
Yeah, so that's always, always fun.
Well, I must say, Emma, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for a leisure moment to talk about all things books, especially your book coming out, Overruled, on April the 28th. We're excited for you. And we hope that you have a lovely afternoon. Can't wait for April 28th to come.
Thank you so much. It was truly a pleasure talking with you. Oh, and I'm really excited for everyone to kind of meet Stanton and all the new characters. So thank you so much. This was lovely.
Oh, you are most welcome, and enjoy your break. Get a little bit more time in for your break before you start back at it.
Yes, you too. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We want to thank all our listeners again. Check us out at aleisuremoment.com. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. And check out our new YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up. Have a good one.